Have you ever loved someone so deeply that even their silence felt like a secret language? A love where the light was beautiful, but the shadows held the real truth. Because sometimes, the deepest love stories are not written in the sunlight. They are written in the quiet deals we make with each other's shadows. Love stories are often told like fairy tales. Two people meet, everything feels perfect, and the world suddenly becomes brighter. But real love is not only about light. Real love has shadows too. I remember the day I first truly saw the shadow in her eyes. It wasn't something obvious. She smiled, she laughed, and to the world she seemed perfectly fine. But when the crowd disappeared and the silence settled between us, there was something deeper hiding behind that smile. Something fragile, something unspoken. And that was the moment I realized something important about love. When you fall in love with someone, you don't just meet their light. You also meet their shadows. Her shadow was made of old heartbreaks, trust that had once been broken, and fears she never said out loud. She was strong on the outside, but inside there were quiet battles she fought every day. Most people walk away when they see those shadows. But love, real love, does something different. Real love makes a deal. Not a spoken deal, not something written or promised with big words. It's a silent agreement between two hearts. A deal that says, I see the parts of you that you try to hide, and I'm not leaving. That is the deal of the shadow. One evening we were sitting together, watching the sun slowly disappear behind the horizon. The light was fading, and everything around us was turning darker. She looked at me and asked a question that felt heavier than the moment. Do you ever get tired of loving someone who isn't perfect? For a moment, the world felt completely still. Because the truth is, none of us are perfect. Every heart carries a shadow. Some people hide it better than others, but it's always there. Old memories, regrets, fears, pieces of ourselves we wish were different. And when you love someone, you eventually meet those parts. You see the moments when they doubt themselves. You see the days when they pull away. You see the parts of their soul that are still healing. And that's when the real decision happens. You can choose the easy love, the kind that only exists when everything is bright and easy. Or you can choose the deeper love. The love that stays when the shadows appear. Because loving someone means accepting a truth most people try to avoid. You are not just loving their happiness. You are also loving their pain. You are not just loving their strength. You are also holding their weakness. And strangely, that's where the most beautiful love begins. Because when someone finally realizes that you see their shadow, and you are still standing there, something inside them begins to heal. Slowly, the walls they built start to fall. Slowly, the fears that once controlled them begin to fade. And that is the real power of love. Not the kind that shines only in the sunlight. But the kind that sits quietly beside someone in the dark and whispers, you don't have to hide anymore. That is the deal of the shadow. It's the quiet promise between two people who understand that love is not about perfection. It's about acceptance. It's about saying, I see all of you, the light and the darkness, and I'm choosing to stay. And when two people make that deal, the shadows no longer feel so heavy. Because love, real love, doesn't erase the darkness. It simply becomes the light that makes the shadows easier to carry. Every love story begins with a moment of light. Two people meet, and everything feels simple at first. Smiles come easily, conversations flow naturally, and the world suddenly feels a little warmer. In those early moments, we mostly see the beautiful parts of each other. The laughter, the kindness, the charm that draws two hearts closer together. It feels like standing in sunlight, where everything appears bright and hopeful. But love slowly reveals something deeper. As time passes, the distance between two hearts becomes smaller. The conversations become more honest. The silence between words becomes more meaningful. And in those quiet spaces, something hidden begins to appear. It's not always obvious, and it rarely arrives in a dramatic moment. Instead, it shows itself in small details. Sometimes it appears in the way someone hesitates before trusting you. Sometimes it hides behind a sudden change in their mood, or the way their smile fades for a moment when certain memories are mentioned. Sometimes it lives in the walls they built around their heart without even realizing it. This is the shadow. Every person carries one. It is made of past disappointments, broken trust, quiet fears, and moments when life was not kind to them. These shadows are not signs of weakness. They are simply pieces of a person's story that have not fully healed yet. Meeting the shadow of someone you love can feel confusing at first. You may wonder why the person who seemed so strong suddenly becomes distant. You may notice moments where they pull away, even when they care deeply. You may feel the quiet tension between wanting to get closer and their fear of letting someone in completely. In those moments, love begins to change its shape. The connection is no longer just about attraction or excitement. It becomes about understanding. You begin to see that the person in front of you is not only the laughter you first fell in love with. They are also the experiences that shape them, the struggles they rarely speak about, and the silent battles they continue to carry. Meeting the shadow means seeing the parts of someone that the world often ignores. It means recognizing the fears they hide behind confidence, the pain they bury beneath their strength, and the vulnerability they protect so carefully. It is the moment when love moves beyond the surface and begins to look deeper into the soul of another person. Love is not always built on spoken promises. Sometimes the strongest commitments are never said out loud. They exist in the quiet moments between two people, in the way they look at each other, and in the choices they make when things are not easy. This is where the silent agreement begins. When two hearts grow closer, they slowly begin to see each other more clearly. The perfect image they first imagined starts to fade, and a more real picture appears. They begin to notice the little insecurities, the habits shaped by past experiences, and the fears that quietly influence how someone loves. This is the moment when many relationships begin to change. Some people step back when they realize that love also includes imperfections. They hoped for something simple, something effortless, and when they discover the deeper layers of another person's heart, they feel uncertain. But for those who truly care, something different happens. Without even speaking about it, they begin to accept each other as they are. Not as perfect people, but as real human beings with complicated emotions and unfinished stories. The silent agreement is born in this quiet understanding. It appears in the small acts of patience when someone needs time to open up. It lives in the gentle way one person listens without judging the past of the other. It grows when someone chooses to stay calm during moments of misunderstanding instead of walking away. This agreement is not written in words. It is written through actions. It is the moment when someone decides that the person in front of them is worth understanding, even when things are confusing. It is the decision to stay present when the other person struggles to express what they feel. It is the quiet promise to respect each other's emotional scars without trying to erase them or rush the healing process. In many ways, the silent agreement becomes the foundation of deeper love. It creates a space where both people can slowly remove the masks they once wore to protect themselves. They no longer feel the need to pretend they are always strong or always happy. Instead, they allow each other to be honest. They allow moments of vulnerability to exist without fear. They allow their flaws to be seen without feeling ashamed. They allow the relationship to grow naturally, without demanding perfection from one another. And through this quiet understanding, two hearts begin to trust each other in a way that words alone could never create. At the beginning of love, everything feels bright. Two people see the best in each other, and the connection feels effortless. The laughter is natural, the conversations feel exciting, and every moment together seems filled with warmth. In those early stages, love is easy to hold because it lives mostly in the light. But love does not stay in the light forever. As two hearts spend more time together, they slowly begin to see more than the beautiful surface. They notice the moments when their partner feels uncertain. They see the days when the other person is quieter than usual, carrying thoughts they struggle to explain. They begin to recognize that love is not only about joyful moments, but also about understanding emotions that are harder to express. Loving beyond the light means choosing to stay connected even when things become complicated. It means seeing the parts of someone that are not always easy to understand and still deciding that their presence in your life matters. Every person has parts of themselves they try to keep hidden. These parts are shaped by past experiences, moments of pain, or memories that still feel heavy in the heart. Sometimes those hidden pieces appear in unexpected ways. A small misunderstanding might trigger an emotional reaction that seems larger than the situation itself. A simple conversation might suddenly become quiet because certain memories feel too difficult to revisit. In these moments, love is no longer about enjoying the bright side of someone's personality. It becomes about seeing the whole person. Loving beyond the light means recognizing that strength and vulnerability often exist together. The same person who makes you laugh can also carry deep fears inside. The same person who appears confident may still worry about being misunderstood or abandoned. Real love does not disappear when those fears appear. Instead, it becomes more patient. It learns to listen more carefully. It learns to give space when someone needs time and comfort when someone feels overwhelmed. This kind of love understands that emotions are not always simple. It allows room for growth and healing. It sees the struggles someone carries and responds with compassion rather than frustration. When two people learn to love beyond the light, their connection becomes deeper than attraction or excitement. They begin to appreciate the courage it takes for someone to reveal their true self. They begin to value honesty more than perfection. They begin to realize that the most meaningful love is not the one that only celebrates the bright moments, but the one that gently holds the fragile parts of the heart that rarely appear in the light. When love first enters someone's life, it often feels like a sudden sunrise. Everything becomes warmer, brighter, and more hopeful. A person who once felt alone suddenly feels understood. The presence of someone special brings comfort, excitement, and a sense that life has become more meaningful. In those moments, the light of love feels powerful and beautiful. But with that light, something else quietly appears. Fear. Not the kind of fear that pushes people away immediately, but the quiet fear that lives inside the heart when something truly valuable enters their life. When someone begins to love deeply, they also begin to realize how much they could lose. For many people, especially those who carry emotional scars from the past, love can awaken memories of previous pain. They may remember moments when trust was broken, when someone they cared about walked away, or when their vulnerability was met with disappointment instead of understanding. Because of those memories, the light of love can sometimes feel overwhelming. A person may start to question whether the happiness they feel will last. They may wonder if they are strong enough to handle the pain if the relationship ends. Even when they care deeply, a part of them may begin to protect itself by creating emotional distance. This is one of the most confusing parts of love. Someone may truly value the person in their life, yet still struggle with the fear of losing them. Instead of moving closer, they might become quieter. Instead of expressing every feeling openly, they may hold certain emotions back. Not because they don't care, but because the possibility of losing something beautiful feels too painful to imagine. The fear of losing the light can appear in many small ways. A person might hesitate to depend too much on their partner. They may avoid talking about the future because thinking about it makes the relationship feel more fragile. They may even create emotional walls without realizing it, trying to control the depth of their own feelings. To the other person, these actions can sometimes feel confusing. It may seem as if love is being pulled away just when it was becoming stronger. But often, what is really happening is an inner struggle between desire and fear. One part of the heart wants to move closer, to trust fully and embrace the connection. Another part remembers the pain of past losses and tries to stay cautious. This quiet battle between hope and fear becomes one of the greatest tests of any relationship, shaping how two people learn to understand each other's emotions and respond to the vulnerability that love inevitably brings. At some point in every deep relationship, there comes a quiet moment of realization. It is the moment when two people begin to understand that love is not just a feeling that appears during the easy days. It is something more complex, something that requires patience, honesty, and a willingness to accept each other as complete human beings. This is where the true deal of love begins to reveal itself. In the beginning, many people believe love is about finding someone who makes everything perfect. Someone who always understands, who never brings complications, and who fits into life without creating any emotional challenges. But as two hearts grow closer, they start to realize that this idea of perfect love does not truly exist. Instead, love becomes a quiet choice made again and again. The true deal of love is not about promising a life without problems. It is about recognizing that both people carry their own stories, their own fears, and their own emotional scars. Each person enters the relationship with memories of past experiences that shaped who they are today. Some of those memories bring strength and wisdom. Others bring hesitation and vulnerability. The deal begins when two people stop expecting each other to be flawless. Instead of searching for perfection, they begin to value authenticity. They start to see beauty in the honesty of someone who admits their fears, their doubts, and their insecurities. In this kind of love, people no longer hide their true selves. They allow their partner to see the parts of their personality that are still growing and healing. They stop pretending to be strong all the time and allow moments of weakness to exist without shame. The true deal of love is built through everyday choices. It appears when someone decides to listen carefully instead of reacting with anger. It grows when a person offers understanding instead of judgment during moments of emotional struggle. It deepens when both partners accept that growth takes time and that healing cannot be rushed. Over time, this kind of acceptance creates a relationship that feels safe. Not safe because life is always easy, but safe because both people know they can be real with each other. They know that their partner is not only there for the joyful moments, but also for the complicated emotions that life inevitably brings. Within this quiet agreement, love becomes less about proving worth and more about sharing truth. Two people begin to walk beside each other with a deeper awareness of what the other carries inside their heart, recognizing the courage it takes to love openly while knowing that every heart holds both light and shadow.